Okay, so this is part 2, and this is going to be more of the video of the actual process of doing it. Enjoy.
Little bracket for the shower thing out of angled aluminium. I heated it up and sort of bashed it flat, kind of like a crude sort of forging. This is it now, it's cleaned up after you saw the pictures. I'm not going to get the finish be perfect. The anodizing won't hide the finish. In fact, it will do the complete opposite and show it up. These little ridges down here, I've sort of filed them, but they were bent backwards, kind of gave a little raise, a little notch in there, and that side obviously popped up. That's been sanded down. There's obviously tool marks from the hitting it with a hammer, and also being held in the vise. I tried to get out a reasonably amount. As you see, the finish is quite grainy. Went over it with like file, 40 grit sandpaper, and then 600 grit sandpaper, just very quickly, just to see what happens to it. I guesstimated it with a tape measure and a ruler. That is about 14 square inches. In fact, I'd done a Google SketchUp very quickly, having gotten consideration about this, and it worked out to be about 11.5. So I've rounded it up to 12. That then said I wanted about 0.43 amps. I rounded it up to 0.5. So I'm going to give this a good clean in hot soapy water. Then it's going to go straight into deionized water as the rinse bath. From there it's then going to go into the caustic soda for about 15 seconds or wherever it looks grey. That's going to then clean up any of the old oxides, get rid of any other organic matter that be on there with fingerprints or crud or crap or whatever. Then it's going to go back in the rinse tank, then it's going to go outside, and then it's going to go in the anodizer, and then it's going to go into the dye solution, which I'll come back to you and explain that later. So I'm just going to leave this to soak for 15 minutes. That'll get off the wrist most of the surface stuff naturally, and then I'll come across with it again, maybe with this, I'm not too sure. I'll be using my new power supply that I built on the previous video. Caustic soda, from what I found, says do not need to use deionized water, so I haven't, just hot water. But then when it gets rinsed, it needs to go in deionized water. So at this stage, I'm thinking just rinse it under the tap, because that's where it's going to be going anyway. So nice little scrub off of that. We've got to crank that on there. Obviously you've got the gloves on, so that's going to stop a lot of decontamination. Fingerprints, etc, etc going on there. Give that a nice little wash over. Should we put titanium wire in now? Why not? Why not? And it's all ready to go, and I can dunk it in and out. Okay, so last night I had to stop the process. I was getting a lot of problems. It was arcing, you can see it's still arcing here. Every time it arced, it then would drop. Obviously amperage and the voltage would shoot up, and then it would try to make connection again. I think the voltage was too high, it was creating too much spark and arcing. It was probably making some sort of corrosion layer or some sort of layer that stopped the electricity on there. And it just wasn't that successful. And I've tried it again without the pump. Blowing air in, it's making a bit of circulation and agitation. I've put the water, the fish tank filter in there just to try and bring it up to the perfect 20 degrees Celsius. Now we're actually up about 22 at the moment, within how accurate this is, but then this plate reads 19. I'm still getting the little sparks, but I get the sparks, but with the agitation, whether it's spark is made and then the agitation helps flow the electric back through, because it always picks itself back up again in the agitation. Without the agitation, i.e. the air, it then stops. It will spark and then it won't reconnect. Don't know if this is good or bad. I don't think it's good having this sparking. I was thinking about trying to screw it, but I haven't got an aluminium screw to get the connection on. But obviously the voltage then shoots up to about 30 until it then makes a connection. and then normally it goes back to normal, but again this one isn't. I really think I need to limit this sparking. I'll just lift this up, and another way I found is have the power on, put the piece in, rather than the other way around. See, it's gone again. Fuck's sake. Yesterday I had some quite big bubbles on there, but I've got littler bubbles at the moment. I suppose that's because of the voltage. Less voltage, maybe. Just another little quick note, more of a mental note to myself. I did drop the amperage back down again because it was about 0.6 running about 11 volts. Dropped it down to about 0.54. Now it's down to 9.19 volts, or 9.2. I'm hoping as this process goes on, the voltage will jump up slightly higher to about 17, 18 from what I've been reading. Fuck knows if it's going to be true or not, I don't know. So, let's wait and find out. So we're still about 0.6 amps and 11 volts. I'm pretty certain we should have went up to about 18. So we got a moment of truth there, and then to be honest with you, I really don't think this is going to work. 42 degrees on there, that's all gravy. In there. Don't know if you can see this very well. The grey marks are the bits that I didn't clean up very well. Around the edges it's gone like a fawny colour. Look at that. That looks good. Oh, if this works I'm going to be well happy. I really don't think it's going to work. Okay, full power on the steam. And that's as black as we want it. Give it a good old shake. And just steam it over for a bit. And submerge. Actually they said to bring it gently up to the boil. Right, so he's had about half an hour now. The water's virtually disappeared into nothing. Dun dun dun. Not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad. I'm actually really happy with that, considering I didn't think it was going to work at all. You can see where the pits are. They were there before, they were the dark bits that were on there. Nice. To me that's not bad, considering the surface was really rough. You can see where the bits where the surface was a bit better. It's taken a bit better. The ink's really coming off. I'm going to dye. Not very uniformed, but you know, to be honest, the finish wasn't very uniformed either, was it? But it's not too bad. Quite happy with that. It was my first attempt. There's obviously loads of room for improvement. Half of that room is going to be the finish, obviously. That's why everybody say on it with the finish. So there we go. It's all on. It looks quite good to me. It looks a lot better than what I did. Obviously I'm going to need a new pipe at some time, but that'll wait until we do the grouting, because the grouting really needs doing. But yeah, I cleaned up all that as a mixture of limescale. We've got a heavy limescale, really hard water around here, and so it's covered in limescale and I think a mixture of aluminum oxide. Just for that to be scraped off. I think it looks a lot better than what I did in this first go anodizing. I'm quite happy with that actually, and stainless steel screw to finish it off. Nice, job's good. My second part that I've done, obviously the finish was a lot more clearer. I did actually etch in there with a scribe test. You can still see it. But when I've done the etching and the other stuff, it probably took it away a little bit. I had this like really weird sort of substance on here. Like an oxide, but it wasn't an oxide, it was like a grease, but it wasn't really shifting even when sanding. And these are just machine marks, so you will get marks on it like this if it's not too polished. But yeah, so it does need to be a mirror finish really. When you get a mirror finish, I've had a little go of scratching on here, but this one's gone a bit more purple. I'm going to try buffing it up.
So this little project is, as you can see, it's an Alpine 64 Plus heatsink. They come in silver. They're nice and flat. I wanted it to hold a LED cob, quite a powerful one, and I wanted it to dissipate the heat. I didn't want it to be silver in colour, so this is why I thought about anodising it. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. These holes I couldn't tap in. I had some real cheap taps. They broke, or they didn't break. They just, as I was tapping them in, the actual thread was actually chewing up the aluminium inside. I could use self tappers, but by then I had already tried forcing 2 screws in and they snapped off. So sanded it flat. Left me 2 more holes. I filled these up with solder. Didn't think anything of it. Throughout the process of anodizing, I must have at some point melted away that solder. I have gone over this with a bit of T-cut stuff just to make it a bit shiny. As you can see, this is the area that went in the caustic soda and has been anodized. It has gone in reasonably deep here. It took me a good couple of wipes over on, I think, 16,000 grit sandpaper, and you can see it now starting to come through into the shiny aluminium under the bottom there. I didn't want to go at it too much. As long as it's relatively smooth, like a mirror finish would be great, but to get that mirror finished, it would be creating a bit of a concave, which then would also give you a bit more of a depth to where the heatsink sits on, which means a bit more of a gap. So this is good enough for me. On the video you can see that it comes out as a bit of a sort of a purpley colour, and it has done it. Now this one went in for 4 hours, I believe, because I just didn't have the amperage to do it at the 2 hours I needed it to, because each one of these fins is square inch wise. You got to account for this side and that side of the fin, and on each one of these is the same. So if you just count the square area of this, count each one of them, and then times it by 2, and do the bottom, and possibly add up for any bits around here. There's quite a lot of amperage that you need. I didn't have that amount of amp on my power supply. In fact, on the power supply that I built in my last video, I had to even buy another buck boost converter just to try and give me some more amperage.